Hi, everybody. Welcome to the third weekend of Culturama. And we have Jude Higgins here talking about dreams today. We are recording all of these, and we've also decided to make Culturama year long. And if you'd like to be a part of that, let me just show you the Culturama community page. This is the Culturama community page, and you can see that we've recorded many of our events. We don't record any event that has privacy issues, but other than that, we've got them recorded. So I'm teaching you how to write I've got a very quick lesson on the sonnet, and we've got Robert Peluso talking about things. Please sign up and follow us over here, and you'll get updates on this. But today, I'm so excited. We have Jude Higgins all the way from the United Kingdom. And we wouldn't have been able to do this without Zoom. So as Stephanie says, Stephanie Hammer says, in the Jewish tradition, with every problem you get a mitzvah. She said, this is our mitzvah. And I'm just really, I'm thrilled that we were able to do this. So Jude Higgins.
Thanks, John, and thanks for inviting me. I always really like running this workshop. I know some people here have been to Dreams into Fiction workshops with me before. And so some of the things that we do might be a bit familiar, but I always do some variations. But the main thing is that I wanted you to be able to write probably 3 or 4 short pieces. I'm sort of guessing that most people are familiar with flash fiction. Is that right here? Because I recognize quite a lot of names. So the concentration is writing very short fiction, but obviously you can also use the exercises for writing longer pieces because you can join segments together and make a longer piece, or just write something longer anyway. And so you might have done some of this before, and you might also use dreams anyway in your writing. How many people do that already? Like, if you just put your hands up. So several people do. So I know that this isn't exactly new. It's just like to give it a little bit of a bit more impetus, because I think that anytime you get stuck in writing, you can use your dreams, because they're full of such amazing things. And they're full of amazing things if they're longer dreams that have maybe feel like they have a whole plot or story in them. Like I think Stephen King, you probably know this, was famously known for dreaming up the whole plot of Misery. That was a dream, Misery with the author and the all that. That was a dream. But very, very, very tiny dreams can be just as useful for prompting stories as long ones. So some people say they never dream, but if you wake up in the morning and maybe you've got a foggy sensation in your head, you could say, this is the dream. This is what I'm waking up with from my sleep. And you can work with that, because I like that phrase. I don't know who used it, but somebody said, in the first bar of a symphony, you've got the whole symphony. So your little tiny snippet dream contains masses. And if you have, even if you've had just one dream in your life, you can keep working on it endlessly, because probably anything you write is, you've got the themes in this very significant dream that you remember. So that's my I like dreams, so that's my encouragement to you. So how many people actually had a small dream last night? Anybody? Oh, one person. I can't see anyone. One or two people had a small dream last night. Well, if you want to, you can use that, because for this workshop, because it's quite short, I wanted you to use quite a brief dream. If you haven't got a brief dream that you remember, you can use an image or the beginning of a longer dream, or even the middle of a dream. You can choose anything from the dream. any image that strikes you today from an old dream or your new dream. So just think that if you haven't got a dream now, you can just use anything from the past. Does anyone really never dream? Not dream at all? Doesn't look like it. Because the other thing I think is, if you say you never dream, is that you can actually look at the waking life as if it were a dream. Some of that waking life at the moment might seem a little bit nightmarish, but if you're going to if you zoom in closer to home, say like the other day I was going for a walk along the lanes around here, and I just stopped and I looked at really something simple. It was a nettle that was just still growing. But if I'd woken up and I'd said I had a dream about a nettle that was still grown in November and the new shoots were coming out, then that would make it very much more interesting. So it's like just focusing on anything outside as if it were a dream gives it added significance and story potential. Right, okay. So what I want you to do, I hope you've got something to write with, is just, first of all, just think of the dream image or dream that you want to bring. And now, second bit of that, if you've sort of located one, is that I want you to write it down in a particular way. I'm going to, all the time through this workshop, I'm going to show you some examples, and then we're going to have a break, a couple of breaks where if you want to, you go into little groups and just make a bit of contact over it. But first of all, I'm going to use my dream to show you how I want you to write out your dream. So the dream I have is a very simple one. Is if I was just going to tell you about it in an ordinary way, I'd say I had a dream about arriving in a mysterious way in a former friend of mine's large garden. And I was standing next to a cabinet with long, narrow drawers, a bit like an architect's cabinet, which were all filled with cherry tomatoes of different stages of ripeness. And while I was looking at it, this former friend walked over and asked me what I was doing. So that is the dream. So what I want you to do is not write the dream like that, but write it out in the first person present. So if I was doing that to my dream, I'd be saying, and it's quite interesting when you do this because different things, you remember different things as well. So this is slightly different. So I'm writing, as if by a magic trick, I'm in my former friend Christabel's garden, standing on the lawn next to an architect's cabinet with narrow drawers. I pull out each drawer in turn and find they're all filled with cherry tomatoes, some green, some fully ripe, some in between. I can feel the heat of the sun on my neck, smell the perfume of the tomatoes. My former friend turns up. What are you doing here? She says. So you just by switching it into the present tense, I think with a dream, you're immediately going into a story mode and you can think about what happens next. And it might be something different from what actually happens in the dream. Could be, that's going to go off in a different direction now from what I might have thought. So can you just do that? Write out your dream in the present tense with I. Yeah. And we'll do that for about maximum for 4 minutes, probably, because it's going to be very short. So present tense. Hello again. Can you finish that bit off now? And will you give it a working title? Because this is your story base really. And I'm going to call this one of mine, I'm just going to call it Cherry Tomatoes. So now you've got your, hopefully you've got your first person draft of this dream, small dream image. And I want you to just write down a few what ifs. I like this what if exercise. I got it from a quite famous book by Pamela Painter, and she gets you to do, after the beginning of a story, 5 what ifs. So if you can just write down 5 what ifs about this story, what could happen if it went away from the actual dream that you had into other directions. So I've got things in mind like, what if these two characters have some sort of major confrontation? What if there's a reconciliation from something in the past? What if the tomatoes are poisonous? What is it about tricks? Those are mine. So just write, without sort of really thinking about it too much, write down about 5 of those, 5 what ifs. Has everyone got a few what ifs? Hopefully. Just sort of put your hand up and wave a bit, if you have. Yeah. Thank you. So I thought it might be interesting if we went briefly into breakout groups of 4, where you could just say how that went and what interested you about writing your dream and getting the what ifs. And if, of course, if you don't want to do that, that's fine. We're just having 10 minutes of that. 10 minutes of chat. It's nice to say hello to people from around the world. So we've got the USA, the UK, Austria, Ireland, Italy. Those are the ones that I know. So John's going to do that. He's going to put you into groups of 4. So we've got 25 people here. So that includes me and him. So
Okay.
around 4.
Just a note. I know that we have one deaf and hard of hearing person here. If I don't know you and you're deaf and hard of hearing, please hang back so I can put you in the correct room so that you have interpretation.
Yeah. Thank you. See you in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hey.
I wondered if you could bring them back now.
Okay, should I just close all the rooms?
Yeah, close rooms. Yeah, sometimes you can send a little note warning them. So.
Oh, fine. They'll be back in 56 seconds.
Okay. Yeah. Hello again.
Hey.
Just a reminder, please mute your microphone unless you are unless you're currently speaking, just so we don't get the background.
There they are. That's the last group. Yeah. It was I was in a group that was interesting.
I think it's internet.
Yeah. Did you surprise you about? Yeah. Yes. Hopefully. Well, I want you just to park your what ifs for a minute and do something different. Can you hear me all right? Because someone says it's breaking up.
You're good now. A couple minutes ago, you were breaking up.
Okay, right. Because my internet is a little bit unstable. I should have said that. But hopefully it'll be all right. Yeah, I'll get a bit closer to the mic. That might help. Okay. Yeah, so the next thing I want you to do with your dream, staying with the same dream, park the what ifs for the moment. And now I want you to do associations to the main image in your dream. So I would say the main image in my dream at the moment is the tomatoes, although another time it could be the cabinet. But now it's the tomatoes in the cabinet. So I would associate to that. And I got some people in my group, they had spiders and monsters and other things. So you might want to write down all your associations to those. But for just to say, what I did with the tomatoes was I did all the things I could think of that I associated with tomatoes. And I also did a little quick Google search. So you are allowed to do that because I wanted to find out names of tomato varieties. And what I came up with that, I was really happy because there's a tomato variety called a baby boomer, and it sort of fitted me because that's.
Oh, looks like she's cut off. Is she cut off for everybody, or is it just me? Okay.
Yeah, she's frozen for me too.
Okay. Oh, it looks like she was kicked out. Okay, why don't we wait just for a moment? Oh, that's too bad.
If she doesn't get back in, it sounds like we have quite a strong steer there to think of the image, the main image, and who it associate things to do with it. Was that basically what she was saying?
Sarah, you're breaking up a little bit, but I think what you're saying is we just continue. About to have the train pass by. Continue without her. Nothing but technical problems this morning. Okay. I live right on top of a train yard. So I think we could continue with.
Hi.
Oh, there you are. Hi, Jude.
Sorry about that. That's my internet connection. So I don't know. Sorry about that break. I don't know whether you'd started writing down your associations, but can you just do that for the next few minutes? Anything. I'll just say what I've got with tomatoes just to get you going with it yourself. So I've got sweet, sour, green, ripe, pizzas, bottled, canned, tomatoes, sun-dried, frozen, juice, Bloody Marys, my grandfather's greenhouse, and blight, as well as baby boomers as the tomato. Yeah. So just go for it, just as many as you can do. Hopefully I won't have any more internet problems. And you are allowed little quick internet searches if you very, very quick. I'll just have another minute, I'd say. Okay, so you should have a bit of a list by now. And what I want you to do, and this is going to probably take it right away from the dream that you had to start with, but it's just another story. Like I'd say, it's a springboard off the story, although it might, like working with your own dreams does, it helps you have some awareness of various things. And I think this is what this exercise did for me a bit, about being an older person. So what I want you to do, and I'm going to read this example, is write a very short piece using a lot of the words that you came up with in your association to the main image. So I got tomatoes, and I had the name I really liked for cherry tomatoes, which is called baby boomers. So my little piece, which I'm going to read out, because it's only about 100 words long, I think, is what to do with baby boomers. Don't bottle us up or get us canned. We'd prefer not to be squashed or frozen. Juiced, maybe. Added to vodka, never. Who wants to be called Bloody Mary? Let us ripen slowly to our prime, and if we stay green and sour, just lay us in the sun. We won't get blighted if you look after us properly at the end. We don't mind being told how sweet we are when you eat your pizza, but it does get repetitive. Best, when we're getting soft, to take us in lorry loads to La Tomatina, that yearly tomato festival in Spain, and let the young people pelt each other with us and laugh when we splatter their clothes, their faces, their legs. When times are hard, they'll always remember that day. And for us, it's the best way to go. So I really quite like that actually, because it was surprising sort of, but it did make me think of, being a baby boomer and getting older and such. And it was fun using all the tomatoey words. So I want you to write something like that. And please, can you, because it gives it a bit of structure and helps you do it fast, can you use the words don't, like I did? Start with don't, and have we'd prefer not to in it somewhere. And what else? Let us. So you've got don't, we'd prefer not to, let us. Yeah. And then just think this is going to be really short. So when you start, think you're going to end it like in a minute. Like it's going to be 150 words or something. So just go. Don't worry about it too much. You're just playing with a draft. And how long will we have? Let's have a look. Yeah, we'll have another 5 minutes from now. 5-minute fiction first. Okay, so if you could find a way to finish that, you might finish the whole piece, but also give it a different title. No, so it's not your working title, it's another title. It's a different story, obviously. Okay, thank you. So we're going to go back into the little group that you were in before, hopefully. John's going to sort that out. And then because they'll have heard something about your dreams, they could see what you've done with them next. So if you don't want to do it, it's fine, obviously. Thank you.
We're not hearing you, Jude. Uh-oh. Okay, that's a good idea. Yeah, I can't hear you. I'm sorry, that's frustrating. Poor Jude, that's so frustrating. She's clicked off. She's going to try to come back in. Oh, I'm not muted. Sorry.
Hello.
I can hear you.
Hi, I'm doing it on my iPad.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah. I just wonder. I've got myself on the big screen. I don't know whether you can see me all right. Can you?
No, I can't.
Oh, okay. All right then. Just log out of that one.
I'm going to request you start video, see if that helps.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Great.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know why it's doing this. It's weird. Anyway. Yes. So if you can get them back in the group, and I will continue. Yeah.
I'm sorry, that must be really frustrating.
No, it's all right. I'm just sorry that it's all a bit interrupted. It was all right in the little group I was in, and then it just went off. Yeah. I don't know if everyone's back yet. I'm having internet problems here, so I'm now looking at you on my iPad. So I think John can hear me, so I hope everybody else can as well. Anyway, some interesting things that people in the group I was in did with that exercise. And there's one more thing I'd like you to do with the dream today. It's 3 minutes past 6, so we have got time to do another one. And some people who've been in my previous workshops have done a version of this before. And I think another way to bring things out of a dream and change the story is to recast it in various ways, which is a bit like the hermit crab type of way of doing things, like you find different shells for different stories. And this way that lends itself to dreams is to write the story as a fairy story. And so what you do for this one is you go back to the dream image, the first way that you did it, the first person narrative. And maybe you could think of your what ifs again. But what you'll do this time is change everything in the story into a sort of fairy tale mode. So your dream protagonist, the I in the story, will be a fairy tale character like a queen, a wizard, an ogre, a giant monster. Sometimes that's happening already in the pieces, and you can exaggerate things in the dream, make them larger or smaller than they might be. And various things, people naturally go into fairy tale modes if they start with once upon a time or many, many years ago, things like that. And you can also, with this mode, I think, make it very, very slapstick. You can write a slapstick story, or you can write a more something type of story, a more sinister story, or a much lighter story, or a funny story. Anyway, it's just playing with it. So I'm going to read the opening of one I did, which I called, this time, I called it Greedy Nostalgia. And I'm just going to read you the opening from my tomato dream. After many, many years, Queen Judith the Small found herself by some magic trick in the vast country estate of her former royal friend, Queen Christabel, standing next to a cabinet of jewel-like tomatoes. Soon, Christabel rocked up in her pink galoshes and Barber jacket, a tiara tilted at a tipsy angle on her head. So, "You've come to visit at last," she said, all dimples and white teeth. "Super." And just at the right moment, she pulled out a cabinet drawer to reveal obsessively neat rows of the ripening tomatoes. "My latest project," she said, "and I can tell you this one really is a winner." Dollar signs dinged in her eyes as if she were a cartoon queen and not a former royal entrepreneur looking for sponsors. So that's as far as mine's got at the moment. So it's a bit silly, but I think can you just sort of go for it and not worry too much? Just write, start with once upon a time, or start with many, many years ago. Remember, change all your characters into dream things, make things bigger and smaller than they would normally be. Exaggerate everything to the hilt if you can. Okay. Hopefully I don't have any more internet problems, which is seems to be happening more frequently than normal. So if we just have another couple of minutes to finish that and get another title. Yeah, just another minute. Okay, so we'll draw that to a close. I hope that was long enough to write something that got somewhere. And we won't have another breakout group now because we're heading towards the end of the time at 6:30 here, 10:30 there. Time for you to stop soon. But I wondered if you might just write a few notes for a few other stories. But before we do that, be great if people unmuted and if they got a title they particularly like, they'd like to share with the group. Be good to hear some of your fairy story titles or any other titles that you might have. Would anyone like to share?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I will. My title is The Making of Alluria.
The Making of Alluria.
Alluria.
Oh,
It's a
right.
name.
Yeah, it's a good name. I like that name. Anybody else?
Mine was The Pointless Prince.
Right, okay. That's good, yeah. Anybody else? Be good to hear a couple more if you felt like it. Yeah. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, sorry, I couldn't hear. I can't read. Oh, Shema, you put your hand up, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah. So for the, I think mine became a poem with the we would prefer ones.
Yeah.
I called it Widow's Walk.
Widow's Walk. Oh right. That reminds me of a film, American film I saw. Is it the Widow's Walk? Is it a thing on the top of a house? Yeah, that's right. I didn't know that before I saw the film. There's a film called The House of Sound and Fog. It had I don't know if you know that film anyway. Yeah.
We have some coming in the chat too.
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet in Corona.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry, I can't see the chat. Yeah, Romeo and Juliet in Corona. Yeah.
Which is a town nearby us.
Right, has double meanings as well, doesn't it?
The all-day paintings in the Louvre were velvet.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I read that wrong. The day all the paintings in the Louvre were velvet.
Wow.
That's great.
Excellent. Good titles. Yeah. Somebody else written any? I can't see the chat on my iPad. It's all a bit hopeless. Sorry about the technology here.
That's all the ones in the chat.
Okay. Right, great.
Got a new one. Somebody put it in Latin. Manasses, Latin for ominous mountain.
What was that, sorry?
It was, I'm going to say it wrong because it's Latin. Manasses mountain, and Manasses is Latin for ominous.
Oh, okay. Right, great. Yeah, good. Right, so just a couple more things then to think about. Of course, these were fictions. You've written a few fictions, and the dream often, of course, lends itself to some memoir, some things that you remember to do with the past. And when I was doing the tomato associations, it made me think of my grandfather growing tomatoes in the greenhouse when I grew up. And at the same time as he was growing tomatoes, I kept building a little house for my tortoise. And the tortoise kept coming out, and I couldn't understand why until I discovered the wood was actually swarming with, not wood lice, what were they? Those other things. I can't remember, some sort of insect that the tortoise was obviously trying to get away from. So I was quite interested in writing about those two connections, my grandfather in the greenhouse and the tortoise in the actually infested little shelter. So you just might want to write a few notes about, is there anything that this dream evokes from the past that could go into a CNF piece? Just write down a couple of things, if there is anything.
Jude, we have a message in the chat said, sorry, I missed the last instruction.
Oh, right. The last instruction was to write down any notes for if the dream evoked something interesting that you could write about as a CNF, like a memoir piece. And, it might just remind you of something. Okay. So that's something to write if you feel like it in the future. And finally, I just wanted to say that it's quite interesting to try and get a dream sequel from your dream. I mean, what I did with that was I'd had the tomato dream about a week ago, and actually I don't know why it was so interesting to me, because it felt fairly innocuous, but I was quite interested in it. And so I was thinking about it before I did those little drafts. And then I thought, well, why don't I just ask for a sequel? So this is what I do sometimes. I just say to myself, please, can you give me a sequel? Which of course is completely random, because the sequel comes out not as what you expect. So all I had was, last night I had a gorilla arrived. That was my dream, a silverback. So then this morning I looked up gorillas and tomatoes on the internet, and I discovered this really nice little video of a gorilla in a zoo that some people were throwing tomatoes at because he liked to catch them. He was incredibly good at catching with one hand, like a cricketer. So just sort of stuck out his hand and caught the tomatoes and ate them because he liked tomatoes. So, and then there was also another story about animals in zoos during the coronavirus and how lonely they are and how lonely the gorillas were, in fact, which is a different take on animals in zoos. And the keepers were saying how much they like to meet the people who came. They come, and the gorillas were coming out at their time where they would meet people the same as usual, except there was nobody there to meet. So I did find that rather sad, and I thought that would be quite an interesting sequel. I don't know quite how, but so when you go to sleep tonight, maybe you could ask for another dream to be a sequel for your story. Because I mean, you can keep doing that. You could do it for weeks. You could keep asking for another dream to go with the previous dream, and then you'd have a really long piece. Yeah. So that's it, really. Here we are at the end.
We have something else in the chat.
Oh.
Marla says, Jude, I dreamed I was being bullied, and my comeback was, well, I have 2 gorillas and a nice butt. And she's still trying to use that.
Very good. 2 gorillas. Yeah, great. Good idea. I can actually realize I can see a bit of the chat here because if I put it on my iPad. Yeah. Yeah. Anything else anybody wants to know or comment on before we stop? We've just got 5 more minutes officially. Yeah. I got if anyone's interested, I do occasionally workshops based on seasonal things. So I did one on the summer solstice last, and I was going to do one on the winter solstice, just with the theme of returning to the light, which was a bit sort of on the around the longest day, and that we're going back into the light. So hopefully in several different ways at the moment.
And we will advertise that for you, and I hope we get a bunch of Americans coming in.
Yeah, it will be in the afternoon, so might be a bit early for Californians, but probably about 3 o'clock in London time.
Okay, that'll be 7 a.m. That's not too early.
Yeah. So thanks very much to everyone for coming, and I hope you finish your stories.
Well, thank you so much, Jude. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have coming up next, we have Lloyd Aquino, who a lot of you know. He's the other creative writing teacher on campus, and he'll be teaching you how to put together and write from the idea of a collection instead of writing the individual poem, putting it all into collection and using that as a way to start. It also works for flash fiction too. So I know there's a lot of flash fiction writers in here. So that'll be in the same Zoom room in a half an hour. Until then, I'm just going to be hanging out here. So if anybody wants to chat about writing or about anything, that's great. This afternoon, we will be having Mark Gibbons and Elise Capron, a publisher and an agent from California, both of whom are very, very nice people. And they're going to come and talk about how to get your work out there. Right. So thank you all.
That's good. Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye.